I'd like to welcome you to today's joint OSHA, NIOSH, and CPWR webinar on the National Campaign to Prevent Falls in Construction and Getting Ready for the 2018 Safety Stand Down. My name is Chris Trahan-Kane, and I'm the Executive Director at CPWR, the Center for Construction Research and Training. Our other speakers and I will be providing you with background on the campaign and its success thus far, as well as some resources to start gearing up for the May stand down. Before we get into it, I'd like to go over just a couple of logistics. First, if you're having any technical difficulties, please email Jessica Bunting at jbunting@cpwr.com, and you can see her email on this first slide in the presentation. Or you can type in the chat box, the Q&A chat box, and Jessica will be monitoring that for any assistance she can provide. You can also respond to any of the WebEx emails that you've received about the event. I've also wanted to mention that because of the weather in the Washington, D.C. area, Jessica is running this webinar on an unfamiliar laptop from home, and I am also from home running my part of the presentation, as is Christine and Scott, all from our homes as our offices have been shut down. So please in advance forgive any technical difficulties we might experience. And also, for last potential technical difficulty is if you're having any trouble hearing through your computer speakers, try to call in instead on the telephone line. You can change your connection in the Quick Start screen, and the call-in information can also be found in the WebEx event email. We will have some time at the end of the presentations for question and answers, but please feel free to type in your questions in the Q&A box as you think of them at any time during the webinar, and we'll do our best to answer all the questions in the order they were received. Finally, today's webinar will be recorded, and we will share the recording link and the PDF of the slides following the event. In addition to myself, you'll be hearing from Dr. Christine Branch, Principal Associate Director at NIOSH and Director of the NIOSH Office of Construction Safety and Health. You'll also be hearing from Scott Ketchum, Deputy Director of OSHA's Directorate of Construction. And right now, I will hand it over to Christine so we can get started.
Good afternoon, and it's a real pleasure to be with you. I just want to make sure, Chris, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So I'm going to be able to provide some background information about how the campaign and the stand down came to be. And I'm really pleased to be able to participate this afternoon despite the weather. So here we go. The campaign, the Construction Fall Prevention Campaign, has a primary goal of providing residential construction contractors and owners with information that would help them motivate and support their need to create the necessary conditions for workers to work at height safely. The campaign developed through the National Occupational Research Agenda, NORA, Construction Sector Council. And that Sector Council has continued to provide some leadership, and they've become a sounding board, and they've continued their intense interest in this activity. Many of you on today's call are members of the Sector Council, and we continue to be indebted to you. The leaders of the campaign are NIOSH, OSHA's Directorate of Construction, and CPWR, the Center for Construction Research and Training. Our key aim was to create a campaign that was based on scientific evidence, and we've been successful in doing so. We've also used a variety of means to evaluate the success of our campaign. The intended audiences are primarily small residential construction contractors. We've been pleased that middle and large construction companies have been very excited about the campaign and have participated in the stand down. But we never want to lose sight that we want to make certain that small residential construction contractors get and use the information that the campaign and the stand down provide. Secondary and tertiary audiences are in order: supervisors and foremen for the contractors, and workers, including Spanish speakers. Now, why would we focus on falls? Now, this next slide is the first of several that I was able to get from CPWR's latest edition of the construction chart book, which was released earlier this month. In this slide, this graph shows the number and rate of fatal falls to a lower level in construction, covering the years 2003 to 2015 for all employment. And you see the high numbers and rates of deaths due to falls. In this next slide, so that we can see the non-fatal injuries due to falls, slips, and trips that make for days away from work in the construction sector. In this case, the years are 2011 to 2015. The light blue color is a slip or a trip without a fall. The red color is for falls to the same level, and the darker blue color is for falls to a lower level. And you see that even with the recovery from the recession, we've seen a steady increase in non-fatal fall injuries. And actually, let me go back a second, because you're seeing that same slight increase for fatal falls as well. Moving forward. This pie chart is showing the primary source of fatal falls to a lower level in construction. And this is one of the technical glitches to which Chris was referring, so I apologize. The large red color in the pie chart is for falls from roofs, and that percentage is 33.3%. The darker blue at the bottom of the pie chart is for falls from ladders at 23.8%. And the lighter blue color in the lower left side of the pie chart is for scaffolding, falls from scaffolding and staging at 14.8%. When we look at the distribution of fatal falls to a lower level by establishment size, we see that the reason why we want to focus on the small residential construction contractor, because 61.4% of the fall deaths are for establishments with 10 or fewer employees. The main messages for the campaign, as well as for the stand down, are to plan ahead to get the job done safely, to provide the right equipment, and to train everyone to use the equipment safely. For this year's campaign at NIOSH, we've been able to use our headquarters organization, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and to feature the stand down on their main page. This image and this article is from 2017, but we're planning to do the very same thing during the month of April for this year. For NIOSH's homepage, as well as for our construction resources directory, we have a page that covers information for both the campaign and the stand down. And we also have videos that we've created for the campaign. We are updating the information with a new set of videos this year, which I'll describe in a moment, but the videos are available for you to download and use in your own training and other materials to support the campaign and the stand down. Please feel free to use information that you can find at CPWR's website, as well as on their Twitter page, from OSHA's website, as well as on their Twitter, as well as from NIOSH and our website and our Twitter. to get and use information about the stand down. We really provide this information for your use, and we hope that you're able to find it helpful. In previous years, NIOSH has produced information on the stand down and the campaign on our science blog, and we're planning to do the same thing later this spring. And as I referred to earlier, because this is the 5th year of the stand down, we've been working to create a video that captures information, footage, and testimonials from our partners who have been actively involved in the stand down. These are the organizations from which the participants in the videos represent, and we're very excited about the video. Again, this will be a resource that you'll be able to both review and use. We will be creating a new set of infographics, and we're doing that with co-branding with CPWR, and we'll be providing that information to you. Fortunately, as well, we've continued our focus and our outreach to small residential construction contractors, including those who serve Spanish-speaking audiences. So with Alianza Américas, we are working with them to get information to Spanish speakers. It's been a real pleasure to be able to provide this background information, and now I'll turn it over to my colleague, Scott Ketchum from OSHA's Directorate of Construction. Scott?
Thank you, Christine, and I'm pleased to be here to present to you how happy we are with all of our participation in this fall stand down. We're looking forward to 2018 being the best event ever. So we appreciate you dialing in and listening to us today to understand how we're moving forward with the fall stand down for this next year. So that said, moving forward, my name is Scott Ketchum. I am the Deputy Director for OSHA's Directorate of Construction, and this is our presentation for the Fall Stand Down 2018. I want to start off by saying that this is the 5th year of a successful Fall Stand Down campaign. These are a conglomeration of all the posters that we've gone through in the previous years, and I would say that one thing we wanted to express every year on the poster is a different trend, and this year we wanted to make it about you, the participants out there. So this year's poster has a photograph of one of our stand downs here in the Capitol with Clark Construction, and we're very proud of that. And so we wanted to express appreciation to everyone who participates in the stand down. This year's fall stand down will be May 7th through 11th, 2018. So we're looking forward to as much participation as we can this year to make it successful. As you know, many times applying for the certificates within OSHA, which I'll discuss later, are open in a period beginning before May 7th, and they extend after May 7th. So if you want to have a stand down, we encourage you that if you can't make the May 7th through 11th, that we want to emphasize that as the time to do it. But if you do it before or do it after, we want to make sure we capture you as well. So the national stand downs, these have been a tremendous success. You know, it's a way of reaching out to workers and stressing the impact of trying to reduce falls in the workplace. And across the strata, small companies, big companies, some of the country's largest construction companies held stand downs. And we want to emphasize again, we're looking for all employers who have potential for falls to participate in the stand down. And this is a great way to do it. We're also thankful for all of our partners in this, and I will go on in a few minutes and recognize some of those partners in particular. Last year, in the 2016 National Stand Down, there were over 150 public events held across the country, and if you want to, you can register that event if it's open to the public through our website. So there's ways that you can get this out there and on the OSHA website as well through our coordinators, and I'll discuss that in a few minutes. Companies with less than 25 employees accounted for almost half of the stand downs. So this is great. This is tremendous, and we would encourage, you know, that this continue in that manner. On another note, some of these stand downs happen worldwide with contractors and with, in particular, the Department of the Air Force held a stand down worldwide, and we've got reports back from the Army and the Air Force at Bagram Air Base, and that was really, really outstanding. So here's a few of our stakeholders and partners. I know that slide looks busy. We had quite a few of them, and we're quite proud of all of our stakeholders and our partners who assist to make this event so successful. One of the partners that we worked with last year was Werner Ladder. Werner teamed up to host events nationwide and as well got us on Mike and Mike on the ESPN network last year that got us quite an audience out there. We received quite a lot of attention on the fall stand down, and we wanted to thank Werner for enabling that and allowing that to happen so that we could get the outreach that we did. Another one was Shea Homes, one of the nation's premier home builders, held stand down events in all of their communities throughout 10 states. And that was quite, we were really impressed with outreach in the home building industry, as well as Shea Homes' participation in that. I mentioned the Air Force earlier. The Air Force participated worldwide in some different locations, some in Germany, several in Germany, and one over at Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, as well as I mentioned over at Bagram. It's job well done. We appreciate the participation from that. So let's move on to the certificate data analysis. At the end of your stand down, we encourage you to register and get a certificate. And if you want to, you can answer a few questions and tell us how your stand down went. And we really, really are interested in finding out from you how your stand down went so that we can make it better year to year. So if you do register for a certificate, you get a certificate, let me go back, that is signed off by either the Director of Construction or in this case, potentially the Secretary of Labor. So it's kind of a neat way of recognition of you and your participation. So there's many ways to participate in the stand down. Some people do toolbox talks, some people do videos, actual training, demonstrations of fall protection. I remember last year at the fall stand down at the harbor, there was an actual person in a harness they were actually demonstrating the importance of wearing your harness correctly. And it was actually pretty cool to actually have fall harnesses in use with people, you know, seeing how that they protect you. It was pretty cool. So the stand down analysis for this year, we reached out to different types of construction. You can see overwhelmingly about 50% was commercial construction, 8% residential construction, government was about 8%, and other types of construction made up 23%. But in the purple area in there, I would like to emphasize that non-construction also participated. And we would like to encourage that as well, because we recognize that falls can happen in other industries as well as in construction. So the employees reached in this type of area, primarily again commercial construction. There was 211,835 in the construction, commercial construction. Other construction was about 124,605. So you can see that we reached a wide range of employees out there in different trades. In non-construction, we reached almost 70,000 employees. So this is a good trend. So how do you hold a stand down? Well, there's no real method that is prescribed in holding a stand down, but we like it when companies hold a stand down by stopping what they're doing and having a focused session, whether a training or a toolbox talk, videos, some sort of demonstration or whatnot, to talk about how falls have an impact in the workplace, and how, better yet, how you can prevent them from occurring in your workplace. It might focus on equipment inspections, whatever works in your workplace or your situation. These are things that we would encourage you to do during a stand down, but there may be other things as well that you want to cover during the stand down. The fall stand down emphasis is on falls, but there are other hazards that occur in the construction industry. So if you want to include other things, that's fine, but we want the focus to be on falls in the workplace. So how do you hold a stand down? Well, first of all, it's important to plan and start early in your planning process. Make sure that you get buy-in from your employees or employer buy-in, subcontractors, owners, engineers, anyone involved in your trade. Getting that buy-in, getting them to participate. You could perform a review of your fall protection program. You could develop presentations that fit your situation or your need, and then scheduling it, getting a date scheduled, and we would like to emphasize the dates, in May that we have for the stand down, and making sure that it is the appropriate length. There is no time frame required for a stand down. We just encourage it to be enough time to be effective, and to promote the stand down. It's all for naught if you don't promote it and get people excited about it and thinking about it before you actually hold the stand down. Then when you hold the stand down, you're probably going to get a better representation of what people are thinking in regards to falls in the workplace and how you're going to address them and prevent falls. And then finally, follow-up. After the stand down, it's important to do follow-up with your employees and seeing what impact it had in the workplace. And part of that follow-up could also be following up with OSHA or our partners to let us know how your stand down went. We really, really would like to know how in that follow-up and collaborate with you to get a better understanding of how impactful this event is and how we can make it more meaningful. So OSHA is broken down into 10 regions, and you can see represented by the different colors there that there are 10 regions, and in each one of those regions there is a stand-down coordinator. So the stand-down coordinators in each one of the regions are listed here on this presentation, and those are the people based on your state that you should contact with if you want to either publicize your public event or let them know, hey, we're doing a stand-down and this is what we're doing. Who knows? There may be an area office or a regional office that may want to participate with you in your stand down if you give them enough time. So we would encourage you to, contact your regional stand down coordinator. We have their emails and their phone numbers on there. And so contact them, let them know how you plan on doing your stand down. And if it's a public event, we can get it addressed on our website. So finally, rolling down here on stand-down resources, as Dr. Branch mentioned just a little while ago, there's tremendous amounts of resources through NIOSH and CPWR, and we've all pretty much interlinked our resources between us three partners. So if you go to one, you're going to find links to the other. So I would encourage you to go look at the Stand Down website where you can find posters, you can find information. Again, here's the plan that we have for it, plan, provide, and train that Dr. Branch mentioned earlier. All of this stuff is available, including videos. If you wanted videos that you wanted to share, there's some good stuff available from our website. Then I mentioned earlier about the certificate. After your stand down, we highly recommend that people get credit for it and receive a certificate of participation for holding the stand down. And basically, it's a thank you from OSHA and the Secretary of the Department of Labor saying thank you for participating. So if you go to our Stand Down certificate webpage after your stand down, there's a short survey, and then you print your certificate. And if you want to share your experience with us, please do so. We highly encourage that. As we started last year, we have different participant levels depending upon how many times you participated. This is our 5th year, as mentioned earlier. So if you're a 4-time participant, you got a gold, and that's 5-time participants for this year will receive a platinum certificate. So And if it's your first year, you'll get a certificate, and it's all important, not trying to market too much on that, but they're all a certificate of appreciation, but we'd like to recognize how many times you participated, and it's a good way of saying thank you. So finally, I would say that if you haven't gone to our Safety Stand Down website, please do so. The website location, hyperlink is down on the bottom, www.osha.gov, Stop Falls Stand Down. And if you do so, you'll find a lot of stuff in there that we think might be helpful. And finally, as was mentioned before, we have links to our partners in this as well. And we find that through all of our efforts, hopefully we get what we need, and you get what you need, and we prevent people from falling from heights. And thank you. Next, right after me, is Christine Trahan-Kane. Christine?
Thank you very much, Scott. Appreciate your comments, and I do want to echo the importance of getting a certificate from the OSHA webpage if you are interested. It does help track activity over time, which is something that's really important to figure out if our efforts are worthwhile. So with that, I'm going to talk about some of the things that CPWR has been up to lately. And it's exactly that, it's trying to track activity over time. So we did something new in 2017 and executed a study that's called a social network analysis. It's a study that we worked with a contractor who has experience in social network analyses, and we were looking to answer some questions on what organizations are part of the campaign network and how are they working together, and the benefits and challenges of participating. Who are we really reaching with the campaign, and what are the potential audiences that we could reach that we're not reaching, and are we getting to the people who are most at risk of falling, as well as how do we encourage folks to continue to be involved and new folks to be involved. So again, it's an unexamined life, is it worth living? So an unexamined campaign, is it worth doing? Obviously the hazard warrants it. Let's see how we're doing. So what we did is to do the social network analysis, we started with our contractor interviewing some people who were very familiar with the campaign, how it started and how it's been going for the last few years. So folks like Dr. Christine Branch and Dean McKenzie, who works with Scott at OSHA's Directorate of Construction, were interviewed along with some other leaders in the campaign to figure out what kind of questions should be asked of the partners of the campaign. So then after these key informant interviews were conducted, the analysis involved doing a survey, and the survey included 19 questions that are about networks, plus 13 that are specifically about the campaign. So then, because of many of the people on this line's involvement, we were able to, and participation, we were able to distribute the survey that was built through those key informant interviews to 157 organizations, and half responded, which is actually a pretty good response rate. We, of course, would like to have 100% response rate so we could paint a better picture of how this campaign reaches folks. However, we're very happy with the information we've learned so far. So the partners during survey
Chris?
Question.
Chris?
Yes.
Oh, we lost you for a minute there.
Oh, where did you lose me?
We are very happy with what we've learned so far.
Okay. Well, then I'll just leave it at that. So, and move on. Please jump in if I get lost again. As I mentioned, I'm on my cell phone and trying my best. So, going back to our network analysis, we had, as we said, 50% response rate, and then about 77 organizations responded and talked about the partners that they're working with, 117 additional partners So we're able to identify close to 300 organizations that are part of this network. And this slide breaks down the information a little bit about who were the respondents and who are the partners in this. And we see that the largest group is academic, government, and research partners, but a large number of contractors and contractor associations, as well as suppliers and manufacturers. This is an image that is not expected to mean a lot, but when I look at it, I see organizations and how they're related and who they're related through. And unfortunately, I can pretty much identify exactly who all these people are because these are the acronyms of my life. But basically, this shows in a graphical or in a visual format the kind of reach of the campaign as described by the folks who answered the questionnaires, how there's my home phone ringing, how they're connected, and where we can use the folks who we have relationship with to reach additional potential audiences. So what are some of the qualitative things that the survey told us? The survey told us that 48 organizations described 208 unique partnerships that they have with other organizations just around the Falls campaign, and that these partnerships have led 951 campaign activities. And that the relationships and the campaign activities are described on this slide, but it could be ranging the most often responded response was that the organizations are sharing information with each other and providing information to the other organizations, working to promote the campaign together and other activities. To measure the impact of the campaign, we see 75% of respondents said they have seen a fair amount or a great deal of change in fall prevention activities at their organization or in the industry as a whole. So this gives us a positive response that at least the campaign partners who participated in the survey see a benefit from participating in the campaign. Fall campaign partners reported a number of outcomes in their organization have experienced, including the list you see here below, the top entry being improved their organization's capacity to address fall hazards and improving relationships and increasing organization knowledge and
We lost you again, Chris.
Okay, I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so some of the benefits and challenges for participating organizations that were reported in the survey include being part of a national campaign was being seen as being rewarding for the organizations, access to training resources and campaign materials, increased opportunities to share resources, motivation to focus on fall safety, and improving relationships with other stakeholders. As important as hearing what's working, I think it's perhaps more important to hear what some of the challenges are and what respondents said are difficult about participating in the campaign. And one was finding time to conduct a stand down or other type of event, perhaps during the stand down week or outside of the stand down. And the uncertainty about the impact of your activities, generating interest in the Falls campaign. So we see these struggles as ways that we can direct our current and future activities to try to provide tools and resources so that folks can overcome some of the challenges they're reporting in participating in the campaign. With that, I'll move on to some of the resources that CPWR has available right now. The StopConstructionFalls.com website is the website that CPWR operates on behalf of the campaign. And what's available on that website or coming very, very soon are 2017 success stories. We try to follow back with folks who give us permission to document some things that are done and are done right so that others may learn from it. As Christine Branch said earlier, we're developing new infographics for this year. Specifically, we're working on falls through skylights and holes and falls off of equipment as new infographics to support the campaign. We're updating our 5-day plan. This is something that Jessica actually not only runs webinars, but also is our lead staff person for the Falls campaign. She came up with some advice from stakeholders to just give suggestions on activities and ideas to do during a stand down if an employer or a group wanted to do activities over the 5 Monday through Friday of the stand down week. So we've had repeated requests to keep that updated each year. We've updated a fact sheet on the campaign, and our fatality maps are updated. For those of you who don't know, we do try to track occupational fatalities in the construction industry, including falls. Every 3 months we update a map. You can see an image of the map on this web page, and we do have the map updated with the fatalities that we were able to identify in 2017 that is up there now and available. Also, just so you know, we have an order form on Stop Construction Falls where people can order free campaign printed material. Specifically, we have hazard alert cards aimed at workers, similar to the image of the, thank you, Jessica, similar to the image of the, that was on the couple of slides ago, but hazard alert cards that are available to order, as well as hard hat stickers that are available to order. So we're taking orders now. If you fill out an order form, we will, without question, send you up to 1,000 hard hat stickers for free, and also up to 100 hazard alerts of each of the 4 topics we have available for free. If you want more, just there's instructions on there how to reach out directly, so we can just make sure we're getting you what you need, but these are free materials that are available. We're also asking you to tell us about your activities for the stand down and give us permission to follow back with you in the event that we're able to use your information to evaluate and improve the campaign, as well as perhaps follow back with you for a success story for next year. So with that, we are at the point in time when we have questions. So I'd like to ask Jessica to take this on at this point, because she's going to try to moderate the questions that are coming in through the Q&A. If you do have questions and haven't posted them yet, just go ahead and type them in the Q&A, and we will try to make sure we answer them.
Great, thanks, Chris. And we've had some questions coming in as we've been going. One question that I have gotten repeatedly is just about the slides and whether we'll be sending out the presentation. So I just want to answer that up front. We have been recording this, so I will be sharing a link to the full recording as well as a PDF of the slides, and I'll just be sending it out via email to everyone who registered and attended. You don't have to follow up with me separately. You will receive that. Okay. The next question is, what advances have been made to manufacture harnesses for women?
This is Christine Branch. Actually, NIOSH has conducted research, biometric and other research on harnesses, and has been working with selected manufacturers to make certain that there is better biofidelity for women, for harnesses for women. And unfortunately, I don't have at my fingertips which manufacturers those are, but we certainly have been trying to make certain that that there are harnesses that fit better for women and anyone other than a tall white male.
Hi, and this is Chris. Kane from CPWR. If folks, I don't know if they can see it, Jessica, but you pasted a link to a new webpage we recently launched on CPWR.com. That is a collection of commercially available personal protective equipment for women. We were asked to develop that, and so we did. And it's available for anybody. We'd like to keep it updated and would certainly welcome suggestions for additions to that webpage.
Yes, and everyone should be able to see that, but I also just recopied it into the chat box in case it got lost amongst the other questions. The next question is, do you have any recommendations for fall protection for those working around drilled shaft installation?
What kind of shaft?
Drilled shaft.
Well, I think we'd have to know a little bit more about that, but we don't necessarily would have any particular recommendations, but I think I've seen some retractables used in that type of scenario, but I'd have to get back with the questioner on that, on the particulars.
Okay.
And this is Chris Kane too. I mean, guardrails sounds like a good option, but not knowing any particulars, as Scott said, can't really answer it much better than that.
Okay, thank you. And we can follow up afterward with that person. Okay. The next question is, this is great, offering the small contractor help with the proven risks, but where can we find information about the greatest risks for large contractors, if those are different?
The greatest risks for large contractors?
Mm-hmm.
Are we talking falls?
Yes.
I'll take a stab at this one. I don't have the information in front of me, but we do at CPWR have some risk information broken down by size of contractors. However, when you talk about fatal risk from traumatic injury, I am quite certain that the #1 killer, both in large and small contractors, is falls.
Okay. The next question is referring to a previous slide. I believe it was actually in Scott's presentation. And it is, why is this 2016 national stand-down information versus 2017?
Actually, that should have been 2017. That was a typo on that.
Okay.
Yep, that was our mistake on that. That was 2017 data.
Okay. Another question for you, Scott. Is OSHA putting on regional events that we can attend?
Yes, I mentioned earlier that your regional coordinators are available for questioning and whatnot. So each one of the regions will, through their coordinator, put out events that either they're participating in or they're having someone else stand up for them. And so it varies. I can't speak for all 10 regions, but generally, having been out in the field for 20 years prior, each region will have the area office or maybe even the regional office participate in some sort of event, either near the regional office or near the area office. So I would encourage you to contact your regional stand-down coordinator to find out what's going on in your area and how you may participate, or even if they're participating.
Okay. Will you be posting events like that on the calendar again? Sorry, you may have mentioned this, but you in previous years you've had a calendar. And we actually, our next question is regarding that as well. And how do others get their event listed on that calendar?
Well, first of all, it has to be open to the public, and if it is open to the public, you get in contact with your regional fall stand-down coordinator, and they'll tell you about all the information that they need to get it up on our website. And the intent, I believe, is to put up a calendar, again, per each one of our 10 regions.
Okay. All right. Our next question is, I am striving to reach a broad base of employees. Do we have any audible PSAs available to submit to radio stations? And specifically, anything in Spanish to reach Hispanic workers?
Hi, this is Chris. It looks like I was flagged on this one. We don't have anything right now, but if memory serves me, we did develop some PSAs early in the campaign, maybe back around 2013, which probably are not appropriate for this time frame. But perhaps it would be worthwhile to discuss offline with the question, Joni, because there may be something we can do on a quick turnaround time, and I'd be really interested in doing that. So I don't know if Christine or Scott has any information on PSAs that maybe some of our partners are doing that I'm not aware of right now.
This is Christine. I was going to say that when you do speak with or communicate with that individual offline, there are several contractors association, at least two come to mind, that have a relationship or have a direct relationship with Latino serving communities. So I suspect that they may either have or have access to PSAs and other materials that have been developed specifically for Spanish-speaking audiences.
And for OSHA, I would say that we have several alliances with Latino organizations that I will check and see if what we're doing in regards to putting something out in Spanish. And I would note that a lot of our materials available on the website also are available in Spanish as well.
Yes, Scott, this is Chris. Likewise, we have a lot of Spanish language materials available on Stop Construction Falls. And just kind of to follow up, I think you have an alliance meeting tomorrow, Scott, so perhaps we could learn the answer to that quicker than normally when someone from the government says, I'll find out about that.
Yeah,
sorry.
I'll talk with you about it, Chris.
Okay, thanks.
Along the lines of this conversation about Spanish materials, someone asked, is it possible that any of the videos that were discussed will have access to be presented in Spanish? So it looks like, actually, so a twofold question. Is there a chance that we would have them translated into Spanish? And if not, would we offer somebody else access to present them in Spanish?
We have no problem with somebody using one of our videos and translating it into Spanish. As a matter of fact, I think on our website, some of the videos are done in Spanish.
Okay.
This is the same thing for Christine. Anyone is welcome to take our materials. Anything that NIOSH does, and I dare say for OSHA as well, is in the public domain. So doing a voiceover and in Spanish would be perfectly okay. What I don't know, and I'm about to tickle an email message to my staff person who's working on this, is to see if the videos that I alluded to that we're providing are in, the new one is in Spanish. I do know that the ones that support the campaign that are currently on NIOSH's website, several of them are already in Spanish.
Okay, great. Going back also a little bit to the calendar page for OSHA, So you talked about what is required to be listed on there, but do you know, Scott, exactly how someone can ensure that their event is listed, how they register it? I guess there are people that were having some difficulties getting listed last year or figuring out how to submit their event info.
Well, the number one way is to get a hold of your regional coordinator, which was on one of the slides that I presented. There's a name, a phone number, and an email. If you do that and you don't get assistance in getting your event on there, or if they tell you that they can't for some reason, you know, you can also go to our website, and there's a way to provide feedback through our Stop Falls website as well, where you can contact us and let us know. So there's two ways you can do that, but I would first encourage all organizations that want to have something listed that's open to the public to go through your regional coordinator.
Okay, great. And that's back up on the screen right now. And just a quick comment, the Oregon-based program has several Spanish toolbox talks available on their website if anyone is interested in checking those out. Our next two questions are, in general, what is the life expectancy of fall protection PPE, and then specifically, are there expiration dates on harnesses?
That sounds like a compliance issue. I don't know, Scott, if you want to address it.
Yeah, we would refer to the standard requires to meet certain requirements under ANSI, and under the ANSI standard also, if the manufacturer has certain recommendations for that, then you need to follow the recommendations of the manufacturer because they know their equipment more than anyone else should know their equipment.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. We have a couple questions about statistics here. Forgive me if I missed it, but have you seen either a decrease in fall rates or an increase in compliance rates over the life of the campaign? And if so, how can you be sure there is a correlation?
Okay,
that's
so this
is a great question.
It is. It is a great question. So I'm going to go to one of my slides, this one. And so there are two things going on here. So if you'll notice that with commensurate with the economic recession, there was a decrease in the number of number and rate of fall injuries.
I'm not looking at the same, oh, I'm sorry. Never mind, that slide you were talking about was just pulled up.
Okay, so I'm looking at the number and rate of fatal falls to a lower level in construction 2003 to 2015. Do you see that, Chris?
Yes.
Okay, so commensurate with the economic recession, there was a decline in the number and the rate of falls. One of the things that we were trying to do in creating and promoting the campaign and then later on the stand down was to get the message out about the aggressive need for fall prevention activities and training, all the things that employers and contractors needed to do to protect their workers so that things would be in place and behaviors would hopefully be changed once we got back into the swing of things in the construction sector. And unfortunately, there is a rise in the number of fall deaths and the rate of deaths that you see here depicted in this graph with the recovery from the recession. The number and rate of deaths aren't as bad as they have been in some years, but it's hard to correlate what's going on here. We'd like to think that our campaign and the stand down have made a difference, but we don't have our data collection efforts or the data collection efforts that happen through BLS and our ability to track what's happening with our campaign are not linked. So we can only offer some conjecture. I think that's the answer to the first question, or first part of the person's question. There was another question about compliance, which I think is a very good question. Scott, do you have any information on that?
Yeah, I sure do. You know, everybody's trying through compliance assistance, through networking, through putting information out, through training and whatnot. But yet, on the enforcement side, speaking from OSHA, the OSHA's top 10 in construction have 4 or 5 items. I didn't have that slide prepared for this conversation, but the top 4 or 5 items that are most frequently cited are for fall protection, guardrails, scaffolding, missing guardrails, aerial lifts, missing a fall restraint device or fall protection. And so I would say from an enforcement viewpoint, we're still seeing a good amount of the citations that we issue in the construction industry to be fall related. So that's disappointing, and it's doubly disappointing when we have a rise in deaths related to a fall from height or from elevation. So I would say that from the enforcement side, the second part of the question, those numbers have still stayed at the top of what OSHA is citing in the construction industry trades.
Okay. Also related actually to this information that you presented, Christine, is this all construction or is it residential?
The data here, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
The data here are for all construction.
And Jessica, I just wanted to interrupt for a moment. This is slated for an hour, but Christine, Scott, and I are willing to keep going and answering questions for anyone who would like to continue to tune in. So we'll keep going.
Okay. Also on the statistics track, are there statistics for specific trades, especially iron workers, regarding falls? And Chris, you mentioned our chart book earlier. Do you recall if we have those statistics in the chart book, iron worker falls?
We have some. I don't recall every of the 3,000 charts in our brand new chart book, but I do know we also did a quarterly data report last year on fall specifically. If that doesn't have the specific information broken out by trade, one of the things we do at CPWR is to do and respond to individual data requests. So if whomever is on the phone on the webinar asking about the specific information related to iron workers, we're happy to figure out if we have the data to answer your detailed questions. So what I'll do is I'll work with Jessica and we'll try to find the information we have specifically as it pertains to iron workers and make sure you get it. But then also we can try to answer additional data requests that come in from anyone who has a stake in the construction industry. So, and Jessica is posting some links right now in the chat for, I think, everyone on our quarterly data report and our new chart book.
So, Chris, I was going to say, Chris, this is Christine. So there are data about iron workers in the new chart book, and as well as in the quarterly data report. I would suggest that actually all of the people participating in the webinar today take a look at it, both to take a look at both the new edition of the chart book and specifically that quarterly data report on fall.
Thanks, Christine.
Thank you. Okay. Our next questions are about infographics. And I already know we do not have these infographics, but somebody asked about infographics on suspension trauma and planning or preventing it, and also the difference between SRLs and shock-absorbing lanyards. So I am also going to paste the link to the falls infographics that we do have. Those don't include the 4 new ones between CPWR and NIOSH, but we are always looking for new ideas, and we do have other materials as well. So I don't know, does anyone know of non-infographic materials specifically on those topics, suspension trauma and SRLs and shock-absorbing lanyards?
Not on shock-absorbing lanyards, but certainly on suspension trauma. I'll look for that information on the NIOSH website and send Jessica. I'll send you a link so you can distribute it.
Great, thank you. Okay, a couple questions here about participating in this stand down. So the first is, how easy or difficult has it been to get employers to participate in this stand down?
Well, I'd like to say that from my viewpoint, before coming to OSHA's national office, I spent 20 years working with OSHA in the field. And in the last 5 years, minus this previous year where I've been in the national office, participation in the stand down is really reliant on how well it's pressed out there, you know, through either social media or you know, getting excitement, generating excitement about it to participate. I will say this, I think there was about 5,000 total certificates that were issued last year. And I know full well that there's more than that out there who are participating in it. So we can't track what we don't know, but I would say that I think there's more than we're actually tracking. And that's why we've been stating over and over again to help us get the fall stand down as much attention as we can, and so we can make it better and so we can market it better. We really need your input on that. But I think through social media and through other methods that us and our partners have been using in this, I think it's been pretty successful. Christine or Chris?
This is Christine, I agree.
And I would say too, my gut tells me that there's a lot of employers out there who are more than willing to participate in positive activities with federal agencies, and on the face of it, the stand down is an OSHA event. So I think it's been a positive thing all around.
This is Christine. If I can also add, you know, we actually, one of the pieces of information that OSHA collected that really always warms my heart was when a small employer who had just one employee told OSHA about having had a stand down. And I think the important thing is that all of us need to play a role in helping to get the information out. It really isn't only up to OSHA or CPWR or NIOSH. We really need all of us, including those of you participating on the webinar and all who you know, to help to get the information out. There's so much material that's available that's free. It's just a matter of free and easy to get. I mean, we're using social media to help you get this information out to people. So we really do need everyone to act as a committee of one to help get the word out and help encourage participation.
I certainly agree, Christine, Dr. Branch. It's, you know, getting participation from any size or any element is a success. And we thank you for the efforts that you're doing and you're going to do this year for the 2018 Fall Stand Down.
Okay. And sort of along those lines, we have a question from a company who has not participated in this fall stand down or any type of event like this before. And they're wondering, how do we make our employees engaged and how do we promote this event for them to participate? They might not have heard Safety Stand Down before, and this is a forging company. Any recommendations? So, there are the posters and the hard hat stickers. Go ahead.
This is Chris. We have a page on Stop Construction Falls about the stand down that kind of explains what the national stand down is, who is it for, why should I join, when can I participate, where, how. So if this page would be helpful, I will try to paste it somewhere and Jessica can repaste it where it belongs if I get it wrong. So hopefully it'll be popping into the chat box for everybody.
I think I got the page that you're talking about, Chris, and pasted it in there.
Okay. Oh, good. We both did it. Yeah, so it's really, the idea of doing a stand down is really about what works for you and your company or your organization. There's no one way to do it, and there's no wrong way to do it. It's just about pausing and drawing attention to things to control hazards in your workplace.
And again, if you wanted some, this is Scott, if you wanted some specifics on that, you can visit any of us three partners, NIOSH, CPWR, and OSHA's web pages. But you can also reach out to the construction coordinators that I mentioned earlier. They'll have some good ideas about what people have done in your area, and might be the best way, I mean, among many methods, is going to someone else's stand down and seeing how that works, and then holding your own at some later point.
Yeah, and the success stories also give a good idea of what others have done. And actually, the next question was, how are labor unions and their signatory contractors participating in the campaign? And I think the success stories kind of answer that and give some examples. And then also the social network analysis that Chris presented on gives some detail about that, about how everyone is participating.
Right, and we'll release a written report on the social network analysis when it's ready in the next couple of months. That when if we do post it, it definitely will be posted on stopconstructionfalls.com.
Okay. The next question I'll go ahead and answer as well. Either CPWR has alert handouts in the order form the same topics as the last year. And yes, they are the same topics, which were fall harnesses, ladders, scaffolds, and aerial lifts, I believe. We have made updates to the cards and the information on them, provided some new resources, but they are the same topics. Okay. The next question is, were engineered solutions, such as prevention through design, a feature of the campaign? If yes, how so? If not, will such engineered solutions be a feature of the campaign in the future?
So this is Christine at NIOSH. Engineered solutions was not it wasn't a deliberate omission. But certainly quite a bit, the entire research portfolio was considered in developing it. There are separate efforts underway, separate but related efforts underway, dealing with engineered solutions, and fall prevention is one of the key aspects of that, including among construction and maintenance workers. And so while we've not made a deliberate effort to include or exclude it, the idea of making it a particular theme or component of a future campaign is a great idea, so thank you very much.
Okay. And have you heard of any interesting sensors or technologies on the horizon for fall protection?
And this is Chris. We get a lot of really interesting proposals under our small studies program at CPWR related to sensors and the Internet of Things and new technology. But yes, we've gotten some things on falls, and we are in the process of funding a new study on some novel technology use in an effort to prevent falls. However, I think a lot of the risk and a lot of the workers who unfortunately are killed on the job, it's not because they didn't have an RF sensor on them or some other newfangled thing. It's about the fact somebody didn't put up a guardrail. So I think a lot of the campaign is really aimed at this kind of basic awareness, basic intervention, and taking a pause and looking for these known controls for this known hazard.
Okay. Another question sort of about the focus area of the campaign. We've been participating in the event every year, and the focus has been on falls from heights. each year, which may be getting a little bit redundant for us. So we're curious about resources and info on slips, trips, and fall prevention from same level, which we do have some resources on. Presenters, I don't know if you want to comment more, but I do know that we have, CPWR has at least a toolbox talk on slips, trips, and falls, which I am looking for right now, and probably a couple other things as well.
Yeah, and I think that it's a really good suggestion. We've worked together with CPWR, OSHA, and NIOSH have worked together to keep a focus on falls from heights because of the grave hazard that it is. And we have discussed the idea of bringing other hazards into this campaign over the years without actually deciding we're going to shift the focus of the campaign. But I appreciate the question and the comment, and Jessica, perhaps we can follow up in the after webinar email with any other resources you find that we have on falls on the same level, because it is a leading cause of injury, and therefore it costs a lot of money in our industry. People do get hurt. So.
Yeah, okay. I will take a look for those resources and send them out after. I have a question for us, CPWR, about the online ordering form that I actually was not aware of. Apparently the website does not allow orders from Puerto Rico or the U.S. Virgin Islands. Will we be able to order materials from you another way? So Chris, do we send materials to Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands? Is that an oversight just with the form itself?
Yeah, perhaps it just disallows, maybe there's a default on states. Just on that order form, there's an email, falls@cpwr.com. I think it is. It's right on the order form. We'll be happy to send you whatever you request to Puerto Rico or the Virgin Islands.
Okay. And I'll also see about updating the order form itself.
Thank you.
This is Scott. I'm going to have to make another conference call here in 3 minutes, so I'm going to have to, if there's any questions for me, I've got another 3 minutes.
Okay, I do have one question that is probably geared most toward you, and that is, actually we had a couple of people ask this. Will there be a Focus 4 stand down or a series of stand downs instead of always fall protection?
Well, I can tell you our Region 3 out of Philadelphia is doing a Focus 4 stand down, and I believe if you go to OSHA's website and look up Region 3 out of Philly, they're doing that. I'm not aware of any other region that is doing a Focus 4 stand down particularly, but I do know Region 3 out of Philadelphia is doing a stand down for the Focus 4 hazards. Now, if you're interested in the Focus 4 hazards, if you go to our website on the construction page, there is a link to Focus 4, and it has complete information on how information for each one of those 4 hazards that are likely to cause fatalities in the construction industry. On each one of those, falls, struck by electrical, and those types of things. And there's good detailed information on how to have a toolbox talk and additional information on each one of those 4 hazards.
Okay. One more question that might be for you is with the new standard of 4 feet or of fall protection required at 4 feet, are 6 feet lanyards now useless? I think that was the question. Well,
it really, the question goes down to, because of the advent of Subpart D for walking working surfaces in general industry, the standard is 6 feet for construction industry trades. So the standard requires what it requires for 1926, and I don't see any changes for that. You can always be more restrictive, and for 1910 in those purposes, if there's something that's similar, then as a matter of fact, there's provisions within the standard that talk about that, and we're in the middle of developing a directive for subpart D and I as it relates to construction. So it'd be premature for me to say right now that one equals the other. We're working on that, and we should have something out on that hopefully here soon.
Okay, thanks for that. Has this campaign helped to prevent fall accidents with misclassified workers, such as 1099 employees? I'm not sure if we can answer that, but anyone want to try?
Hi, this is Chris with CPWR. That's an excellent question. I don't know the answer to it, but I think it's worth seeing if we can find out if there has been any change in the fall incidence rates of quote unquote independent contractors that are really misclassified employees and direct, regular employees. I think it's worth trying to find out if we have the data that can answer that question. Thank you for asking it.
Okay. This is not a question, but we heard from someone, everyone may have seen this already in the Q&A, but there's just yesterday a fall fatality in State College, Pennsylvania, and the owner of a small concrete company fell over 28 feet while repairing a concrete balcony. So the link, if anyone is interested in reading more about that, or I think there's a little video as well. I'm just going to put that link in the chat box. Our next question is, are any of the presenters interested in coming to a stand down in NYC? Would anyone travel for a stand down, or is that something that the OSHA regional offices should be doing?
It is.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's appropriate for the OSHA regional offices to do it. I'm happy to support stand downs where we can and where my travel budget allows it. And unfortunately, during the week of the stand down, I will be traveling after the first day of the stand down. I'll be traveling elsewhere and won't be able to do it. But if any location is going to do a stand down later, either later that month or later in the summer, because we are encouraging participation and considering doing stand downs throughout the summer, that's something to consider. And of course, if you pay for it, that makes a lot of difference. So that's all I'll say for that.
Hi, and this is Chris. Stephen, if you would like to see if somebody from CPWR can come and bring CPWR resources to a stand down in New York, please email Jessica and she'll get me the information so we can figure out if we have, number one, the resources to send somebody, and number two, the manpower to send somebody. I know I'm supposed to be out west for another obligation that week, so but we may have staff to support your event. Just if you can go ahead and send us the details, we will get back to you.
Great. Okay. And then we had a question, is there specific information from the CPWR quarterly data report on fatal falls between fixed ladders versus portable ladders? Chris, I don't know if you know the answer to that. That may be something that we have to look up and get back to you.
No, I don't. We have a quarterly data report on falls, but I'm pretty sure we don't differentiate between fixed and portable ladders. We don't see as many fixed ladders in construction as we do portable ladders, so I think it would be a relatively unusual occurrence. I don't know if there's parallel general industry information that would answer that question in a non-construction work setting. So apologize, we do not have that info.
All right. I think that is actually it for all of our content questions. I just want to reiterate, because I've been asked a few more times, that I will be sending out a recording and a PDF of the slides If anyone needs confirmation of attendance, please just shoot me an email and I will be happy to send that as well. And at the request of a couple of individuals, I also will include in my follow-up email to everyone all of these resource links that we've been sharing in the chat box today, so you don't have to keep track of those. All right.
Yeah, and this is Chris from CPWR. Thank you, everybody. I see we still have 150 people who are continue to be in attendance. Really appreciate your time today.
Thanks, too, from me, Christine Branch at NIOSH.
And thank you all for presenting.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.